And welcome back to another episode of Too Much Pod Tar. Today is April 13th, as I'm going to be looking back again on baseball history on this day. And I'm going solo again this time, as I had nobody around to record with me. But yeah, just a reminder, you can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, and obviously ratings and reviews are obviously always welcome. If you would like to do that, it would be appreciated. So definitely do that. And
that's gone. George Brett has just homered, and Billy Martin and the Yankees want the bat. Look at Martin.
Well, what you're talking about, Frank, is that he's got too much
pod tar.
way too much pod tar.
So let's jump right into it for this day. This day last year, Chris Davis, he finally ended his hitless streak to start the season. Well, from continuing it from 2018 to 2019. It had gone on for 54 games without a hit. And finally, against the Red Sox last year, he got a single in the first inning to finally get it out of the way, to finally get that record nobody wants out of there. And it was definitely, I felt bad for him after a while, and I felt good for him to finally get that hit, that one hit, and he had a good game there against the Red Sox. So definitely good to get that out of the way. And then in 2012, Aaron Orang of the Dodgers, he struck out 8 straight batters after he had walked the first batter of the game, gave up a leadoff single to the first batter, Cameron Maybin, and it was against the Padres. And that 8 straight was one more than the previous record by John Podres. It was so that made it that gave him a franchise record, and it was actually only one short of the major league record held by Tom Seaver, who struck out 10 straight. Well, actually, sorry, he struck out 9. So that means, Tom Seaver struck out 10. It was one less than that. Tom Seaver did back in 1970, which was also against the Padres. Or Friars. They were the Friars back then. But also back a year before that, 2011, Chipper Jones, with a home run in the bottom of the ninth inning against Marlins, he became the third switch hitter in Major League history to get to 1,500 RBIs, joining Eddie Murphy and Mickey Mantle as the other two. So definitely a solid company there. A good mark to reach, and those are obviously great switch hitters, all three of them. And Chipper Jones, he's one of my favorite players. He was actually one of my favorite players growing up. Even as a Yankees fan, I loved watching him. He was one of my, along with Jeter. Like, Derek Jeter was my favorite, but actually Chipper Jones was kind of right behind one of my favorite players. So, yeah, I loved watching him. Just did everything the right way. And was definitely one of the greatest to do it. And then 2009, Orlando Hudson hit the cycle with the Dodgers, becoming the first Dodger to do so at Dodger Stadium, and the first Dodger to do so overall since 1949 when Jill Hodges did it. So yeah, definitely something that hadn't happened for a while for the Dodgers. Pretty cool to see that. Orlando Hudson wasn't maybe the guy that you would expect to do that, but no, he did, and it was pretty cool. And then also 2009, Nick Swisher, in a 15-5 blowout loss to the Rays. He pitched the 8th inning and completed a shutout inning. He gave up just one walk and a single, but then retired the next 3 batters in a row, including a strikeout of Gabe Kapler, and he was the first Yankee position player to pitch since Wade Boggs in 1997. And I was in that game. It was Chimney Wan that only lasted 1 inning, and actually Swisher volunteered to pitch the 8th inning to save some of the bullpen. So.
Who's going to the mound but Nick Swisher? See their pitchers throw tonight. There's a wave and a miss, and Kapler strikes out. Here's the dummy. And a big league pop-up again by Pena. Right side, and is there to make the catch. And the fly ball lifted toward left center. And it is caught out there by the center fielder Gardner to retire the side. So a scoreless inning for Swisher.
Yeah, pretty cool moment to see that. Well, I mean, obviously not really great circumstances. Obviously, they lost. They got blown out that game, and it was actually one I remember when I was only 11 years old at the time, and I remember I actually went to bed early because I was like, oh, well, not really early because that really was my bedtime at that time, whatever, 9 o'clock. So, and I remember just going to bed. I was like, oh, I was just remember like, oh yeah, they're not gonna win. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna stay up to watch this game. And then I remember I woke up the next morning or something. I remember my dad telling me like, oh, Nick Swisher pitched last night. I was like, what? I was like, oh, so crazy. I was like, oh, Nick Swisher. I couldn't imagine him pitching. And I just remember that moment. I was like, wow, that's incredible. And even to have a pitch a scoreless inning, striking out a batter, and yeah, it was a pretty awesome moment to see him on the mound. And year before that, Johnny Cueto, he walked his first batter of the season after he struck out 22 straight batters without allowing a walk. And it was actually the only post-1900 pitcher to strike out at least 18 batters without throwing a ball 4 in his first 2 starts of the season. So, damn, that's crazy. And I don't think anybody's come close to that since. I don't know if they have, but yeah, it's back in 2008, so it's, obviously 12 years later, but and strikeouts are, there's a lot more strikeouts now, but 22 straight without a walk is still kind of crazy. I have to look into that. I don't know if anybody's done it since, but it's possible. It's definitely possible that somebody could have done it, with the amount of strikeouts in the game today. So, it's definitely a crazy stat, though. 22 straight. And we go to 2004, as we had the other day, with Barry Bonds hitting his 660th home run. It was actually yesterday, so just the day after today in history, he hit his 661st to put him over his Godfather, and just being third place by himself, leaving him 53 behind Babe Ruth and 94 behind Hank Aaron at 755. And it was a 460-foot bomb hit into McCovey Cove, and was actually fished out of McCovey Cove by the same fan who caught 660 the night before. And he actually gave 660 ball to Bonds, but the fan Larry Ellison actually kept the 661st for himself. So yeah, that was.
And now he's alone in third place behind Aaron and Rose. Unbelievable. They want Bonds to come out, and he does. And Alfonso will step out while Bonds takes the curtain call. And it ends in the cold. And boy, do we love to watch these.
Barry Bonds gives us another page of baseball history. Home run number 661 career. And good forward. There's a little hanging breaking ball. No doubt about it. Another splash hit.
Yeah, and I don't care what anyone says. Barry Bonds was the greatest player of all time. Even before steroids, he was incredible, amazing hitter. And obviously, maybe they helped him get some more records, but still doesn't matter. He's the greatest hitter of all time, no matter what. You can at me if you want, but he's the greatest hitter of all time, with or without steroids. He's amazing. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully it happens, Obviously next year now is his last year to be eligible to last year on the ballot. Along with Elijah Clemens, both should be in. Both should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's another topic for another day, but that's an argument for a lengthier episode. This is just for today, looking back in history. And the next thing, that's the really biggest thing for that was 1993. Lee Smith, he became the all-time saves leader at the time with his 358th career save, passing Jeff Riordan. And obviously, he ended up finishing with 478, which was now obviously passed by Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman. Mariano finished with 652 saves, Hoffman with 601. So, and now Lee Smith is still third, and is now third on the all-time list, and still holds that position. And no one now is going to come any close to that. As the active leader is Craig Kimbrell, who has 346, and he's not going to get to that. He's 31 years old now, so he's not going to get to 478. So I think he's safe in third place right now. So Kenley Jansen's the same age at 301. Rolls Chapman the same age at 273. So no one young that's going to be getting close to that anytime soon. So we'll have to see what happens, but I don't think anyone's going to come close to the saves. Or no one's going to come close to 652 for sure. Mariano Rivera, greatest closer of all time. He's definitely not going to be caught. That's incredible saves mark. So no one's going to ever come close to that, I don't think. Ever. That's one of the untouchable marks. That's one you could say. It's clear. Untouchable. And a couple things that were had to do with Pete Rose. He got his first hit of his career in 1963. And he also got his first, and he got his 4,000th hit on this day in 1984. So that's incredible. He did it on the same day. The same exact day he got his first and 4,000th hit. That is just insane. So yeah, definitely crazy to do both of those big moments in the same day. 21 years apart. It's awesome. And Pete Rose is another controversial, figure in baseball, and he should be in the Hall of Fame too. I'm fully stick to that. I think it's wrong that he's banned for life. I know the rules and everything, but he literally was gambling against his own team winning. It wasn't like he was gambling against his team losing, gambling for them to lose and then throwing the game. It's not like the Black Sox. And now as I've mentioned several times, he's banned for life, but the Astros get off like scot-free. Every Astros player. And basically almost pretty much everybody else involved. I know, obviously Hinch, obviously Lanau, obviously everybody got fired. That was pretty much all the managers and GMs involved got fired, but what? So what? They got fired. And now even if there's no season this year, they can be hired by another team, which I don't think they will anyway, but still. I'm not going to get into it more because that's obviously another one. That's an argument for another day. But we all probably on the same page except Astros fans that, ride with their team no matter what, which they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They go and make excuses about it. But we're going to go and move on from that because there's no need to talk about that right now. But anyway, 1970, there was a little bit of a crazy one here. The A's actually, in the home opener at the Oakland Coliseum, they used gold-colored bases. And this color innovation was introduced by Charlie O'Finley, the owner, but was quickly banned by the rules committee of the MLB. So yeah, that's weird. What would make you even think to use gold bases? Like, I don't know. But I wanted to mention that one. That's a little bit weird or crazy. So, and then there we go. 1962, the Mets played their first home game ever. It took place at the Polo Grounds, but it was only in front of 12,000 fans as NL baseball returned to New York. And the Mets ended up losing 4-3. And against the Pirates scored a decisive run on 2 wild pitches in the 8th inning. It was actually on Friday the 13th, so maybe a little bit of bad luck for the Mets. Mets gonna Met, but But yeah, sorry, Nick, for listening. For that one, yeah, it's that was tough. Obviously, you weren't alive yet, but 1962, but still a tough one to face. But yeah, Mets gonna Met though. They always seem to have stuff like that happen to them. And maybe that's it. Maybe because they played their first game, their home game, on Friday the 13th. Maybe that's why they get such bad luck. Which, they won World Series. They won, obviously, in 1969 and 1986. So, they won 2 World Series after that. But still, the Met, the Mets just seem to Met. So, that's all for that. But, 1954... Forrest Spook Jacobs. He became the first major leaguer to collect 4 hits in his opening day debut. And as I talked about a couple days ago, it happened on that day. The next time it was accomplished was in 1990 with Delano DeShields doing it with the Expos. So those, I think, were the only 2 times that happened, unless it happened after 1990. But I believe that might have been the only time that it happened. Those 2 times. and also a breaking of barriers in 1954 as first Pirates and first Cardinals black players. As Kurt Roberts was the first for the Pirates, and Tom Alston was the first one for the Cardinals to break some barriers there. As Roberts was signed by Branch Rickey, the GM, and he got a first inning triple to get his first hit in the majors, as the Pirates ended up winning 4-2 against the Phillies. And the Cardinals actually, it was 7 years prior to that they had, prior to 1954, that they had threatened to strike because of the integration of baseball by Jackie Robinson. But, they turned around there and 7 years later and signed him. And he popped out in his first major league at bat. In 1914, probably the last one here, is a Major League Baseball returned to Baltimore after Orioles had ended up moving to New York and becoming the Highlanders, who would become the Yankees in 1901. So, they returned to 1914 with the Federal League as Terrapins against the Buffalo Blues at Terrapin Park. And that's the last time. That's when they returned to Baltimore finally, and they ended up losing. The Terrapins beat the Blues 3-2 in that game, and actually the Orioles were eliminated at the end of the 1899 season from the National League. So that's basically it, though. Well, actually, another one. The New York Gothams became a team, they would eventually, in 1883, and they would become the Giants 2 years later in 1885. And they actually visited the White House, becoming the first professional team to visit with the president. Well, actually, I'm sorry, that was the second team to do so. The first team was actually the Forest Cities Ball Club, which was a recently defunct franchise of the National Association. They were brought to the White House by Chester A. Arthur. They were the first professional team to visit the White House. And then later in the season, the president visited hosted New York Gothams in the National League. As I said, they became the Giants in 1885. So, yeah, some good history there. The 21st President of the United States, Chester A. Arthur. And he had a quote, "Good players make good citizens." So, yeah, but that'll do it here for me. April 13th. Make sure you keep following along to these episodes daily as we look back on history. Some great history with baseball. And, passing the time, looking back in time. Passing the time by looking back at time. But, yeah. But we'll get through this. We're going to get through it. Hopefully you end up having baseball this year at all. I don't want it to be like some weird thing with like the way they propose with having, just in the spring training facilities, like in front of no fans and all that. But, I don't want that. That's not baseball to me. That's not winning the World Series or whatever with a season like that wouldn't really have the same effect. It wouldn't count the same. We'd have to have an asterisk next to the season, whoever wins. And next to all, I think actually, really, you would have to have it next to all the stats. Whoever wins the batting title, whoever wins MVP, whoever wins Cy Young, whatever. You would have to have an asterisk next to everything if you played like that. If that's what it comes to, and that's all it has to be, if that's all they can do, and that's all they're going to try to do, you can't do anything else about it. Have a season like a regular season, which it's never going to be a normal season, no matter what. I don't think. But if you can at least have like actual like games, you don't have to change anything around, like having spring training stuff, like kind of more so like that. If you can at least have it at the regular ballparks, and at least have maybe, I don't know really like how it's gonna go, but if that's the resort that you have to go to that resort, to just doing like basically another extended spring training for the whole season, then just I would rather them cancel. As much as I want baseball to happen this year, I don't want that kind of. I don't want like not real baseball, because it just wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't feel right. Nothing would be, nothing that players would do, especially like playing in front of fans. They're not used to that, and it would just be weird. It would not be right at all. I want baseball back as much as the next guy, but if it's going to be something like that, then it's not worth it. But anyway, hopefully we get it, and I'm looking forward to like going to the Hall of Fame too this summer. I had it planned already to go see Jeter get inducted. Derek Jeter get inducted, but even that's in question. I don't know if that's going to happen, and if it does, is it going to be just like online? Is it going to be just like whatever, televised, no fans, and everybody's still social distancing? I don't know if it's going to be that. It's still going to be as bad when we get to July. We don't know. Nobody knows anything, how it's going to be, how long this is going to last, how bad it's going to get. Well, we're still, I don't think we're still not at the worst part yet. I don't think. I think it's still coming, that the worst part of this is still coming. We have to see the worst parts, but this is everything. Hope springs eternal. I hope so. I keep hoping and praying. I hope you do too. I hope you stay safe. Everybody keep washing your hands, social distance. Follow the rules, please. Please, please, please. Don't cough on anything in the grocery store. Don't, whatever, do all these stupid things that I keep seeing on the internet. All these, like, just use your brain. Just do the right things, and we'll get through this quicker than, we'll get through this easier than if we didn't. Just keep doing what you've been doing. I think a lot of people that I know have been following the rules and not doing certain things, and whatever, all the right things, and I hopefully we get through it quicker than sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's today on in baseball history. Follow us at the Squirrel on everything, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and make sure you tune in next time for another episode. Tomorrow we'll be back. I'll be back with a couple, I think Johnny at least, and yeah, that's just a reminder, you can never have too much pod tar. See ya.